Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today is the most auspicious occasion of Sri Narshingha Chaturdasi, the appearance day of Lord Narshingha Dev. Srila Prabhupada in one lecture gives the example of the Prime Minister of England called Gladstone. Today is election day, voting for the Prime Minister here in Australia. Although they wouldn't let me vote because I don't have any fixed address. Anyhow, once an important minister came to meet Mr. Gladstone. This example Prabhupada gave actually on Brahadwadasi, the appearance day of Lord Braha. He probably gave it in other lectures as well, but once an important minister came to meet Mr. Gladstone, and the secretary asked him, please wait in the adjoining room. So he was waiting and waiting and waiting, a long time, became impatient, thinking, I'm also an important man, I have important business. What is Gladstone up to? So he opened the door a little bit and looked inside, and there he saw Gladstone crawling on his hands and knees on the ground. And his grandson was riding on his back as if riding on a horse, telling him, go faster, go faster. So Prabhupada, well, he uses this example to show that even though he was a very important person, he preferred to act as a subordinate to his grandson, and also to play as a horse. So, as I recall, Prabhupada gives the example both for Lord Krishna, how he prefers to, play and live in a village Vrindavan, even though in Vaikuntha, also in Dwarka, he is honored and worshipped with great respect. There are many guards and soldiers and servants and ladies in waiting, etc. So much awe and veneration. But he prefers the simple life in Vrindavan, where he's being teased by his cowherd boyfriends or the gopis, or ordered by his father and mother. The mother, Yasoda, orders Krishna, bring your father's shoes, and he carries them on his head. So he prefers that intimacy of being in a subordinate position. And on Brahadwadasi, Prabhupada gave that example to show how the Lord can play and take on any role. Gladstone took on the role of a horse, so similarly, Lord took the form of a boar. And here we see Lord taking the form of a lion, or half lion, half man. These incarnations of Baraha and Narshingha Dev, of course, are interconnected because they appeared to kill two brothers, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So the story, of course, begins, the Leela begins when the four Kumaras were trying to enter Vaikuntha. The four Kumaras were boy sages, the firstborn sons of Brahma. Brahma had the duty to create the planetary systems. He's the secondary creator after Lord Vishnu. And so he had the responsibility to create the different planetary systems and also the different life forms. And he wanted that his offspring should assist him in that function. So he wanted these firstborn sons, his 4 Kumaras, to marry and produce progeny to populate the universe. But these sons were not inclined. They wanted to focus on spiritual practice. Lord Brahma became angry. And the Bhagavatam describes that Rudra, Shiva, came out of his forehead at that time. Anyhow, the Kumaras, they were very fixed in their determination. And in order not to be pressured further by mystic power, they kept their bodies like small children. So is described in the Bhagavatam that they were Brahman realized. They were not at that stage devotees, but they heard of the glories of Lord Vishnu and they wanted to see for themselves. So they went to Vaikuntha. But the gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay, stopped them from entering, thinking them to be small children. So the Kumaras were very displeased. They said to the gatekeepers that your consciousness is like the consciousness of people in the material world. Because in the material world, generally, people judge one another on the external bodily platform. And as a result, get entangled in all kinds of material miseries, conflicts, quarrels. You know, the history of the world is full of so many conflicts based on nationality. It's a bodily concept of life. So they told the gatekeepers that better you go to the material world. It's a place for persons who judge others on the external bodily platform. Just at that time, Lord Vishnu himself came to the gates of Vaikuntha. He could understand some kind of disturbance going on there. And when he appeared before the Kumaras, they were overjoyed. They experienced symptoms of ecstasy. That point, they became devotees. They smelt the aroma of the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. So from then on, they were devotees. Of course, they're head of their own sampradaya. That is Kumara or Nimbarka sampradaya. Just as Lord Brahma is the head of our Brahma Madhva Gaudiya, Vaishnav Sampradaya, or Lakshmiji Sri is the head of the Sri Sampradaya or Ramanuja Sampradaya. And of course there's also the Rudra Sampradaya, whose main Acharya is Vishnu Swami. Anyhow, the Lord, as we know, the Lord is very affectionate towards the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. When offering foodstuffs to the Lord, several prayers are chanted. One of them is Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we're offering our obeisances to Govinda, Krishna, who is very affectionate to the cows and the brahmanas. Sometimes in Varnashram society, comparison is made to the body, that the brahmanas are like the head, kshatriyas like the arms and chest, vaishyas like the belly, and shudras like the legs. So the leg may be cut off, arm may be cut off, but the head is essential for the functioning of the body. So in a spiritually based society, brahmanas or teachers of spiritual knowledge are considered to be essential to keep proper balance and proper understanding amongst the population at large. So Lord immediately apologized to the Kumaras on behalf of himself and the gatekeepers also, saying that you're most welcome here. And he said, I would not hesitate to cut off my own arm if it would please the Brahmanas. So in this way, Lord displayed his affection towards the Kumaras, and their affection for him increased more and more. As for the gatekeepers, they felt very sorry, and they said, ask the Lord, please remove this curse. But he said, the curse is already placed, but you can choose whether you would take 3 births as demons or 7 births as devotees. So they chose to take 3 births as demons. One reason given is that they could return to Vaikuntha more quickly. But the other reason given is that actually they understood that the Lord has a fighting spirit. But in Vaikuntha, there's no one to fight with. Everyone is a devotee. So in order to have a good battle, the Lord has to come to the material world. So they chose to take births as demons in order to give battle to the Lord, to satisfy his fighting propensity. And that is why they appeared 3 times. The first time is this time. Well, the very first to appear, they were twins, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. But the firstborn was actually Hiranyaksha, and he knocked the earth out of its orbit down into the Garbhodak ocean in the bottom of the universe. And then he was looking for someone to fight with. He dived down into the ocean. He confronted Varahadev, the god of the ocean, the god of the waters. But Varuna, excuse me. He confronted Varuna. Varuna said, I'm too old to fight with you. Very soon you will meet your match. So then, in great anger, he rose out of the depths of the ocean, and then he saw Varahadev already lifting the earth and taking it back to put in its proper orbit. He challenged Varahadev. Varahadev calmly put the earth back and then turned to the demon, and there was a great fight, and of course, eventually Varahadev killed him, smashing him with his club. So his brother Hiranyakashipu therefore developed very great hatred towards Vishnu, and he always wanted to fight with Vishnu and defeat Vishnu. And he was very puffed up. He thought that Vishnu was hiding from him, hiding in everyone's heart. So Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to become immortal so that he could defeat Vishnu. So he performed great austerities for many long years, 125 years or so, standing on the tips of his toes with his arms outstretched, fasting, Hare Krishna, and the ants formed an ant hill around his body, and he began to eat all his flesh, and eventually there was no flesh left. But he had great mystic power, and by his mystic power he was able to maintain his life air within the body, within the skeleton, that is. And eventually Lord Brahma appeared to him, because he was performing these austerities to please Brahma, who he thought was the most powerful being in the universe. And Brahma requested him, what benediction do you want? Please stop these horrible austerities. And then Hiranyakashipu requested, I want to become immortal. But Brahma said, I cannot make you immortal. I myself am not immortal. So then Hiranyakashipu thought up some other boons that he could ask for. So he asked, give me the boon I won't be killed in the day or night. And Brahma said, that's all right. Then he said, give me the boon that I won't be killed inside or outside. And Brahma agreed. Give me the boon I won't be killed on the earth, in the sky or in the sea. Yes, Brahma agreed. Give me the benediction I won't be killed by any man or demigod. Yes, he agreed. So like that, Hiranyakashipu thought that he had tricked Brahma, got so many benedictions that he was actually immortal. Of course, he made a great mistake, and he didn't reckon on the cunning and power of the Lord himself. But anyhow, using these benedictions, he was able to defeat the demigods and occupy the throne of King Indra and rule over the universe. And he was a very cruel ruler, persecuted the Brahmins and the cows, very demoniac personality. And he also had a young son. At the time of conception, Narada Muni took the form of a bird and began chanting near Hiranyakashipu's bedroom the names of the Lord, which was agitating to Hiranyakashipu, but that was a time of conception, so the child in the womb of Hiranyakashipu's wife was actually a devotee. A devotee was attracted, hearing the holy names. So in this way, Hiranyakashipu had a young son, and he was doting on his... Actually, while his wife was pregnant, he had gone again to perform austerities, and the demigods captured his wife, thinking this must be another demon in her womb, and they wanted to kill the child. But Narada Muni, knowing the real truth of the matter, he stopped them, and he brought that lady to his ashram, and there he was giving discourses on the scriptures. So his mother, she wasn't so attentive, sometimes falling asleep, I guess, in the lectures or whatever. But the child in the womb heard Narada's instructions, which strengthened his Krishna consciousness. So when he was born, he was actually a great devotee, as we know, Prahlad Maharaj. So when he was young, his father sent him to the Gurukula to study under the teachers Sanda and Amarka, who were very expert in teaching all kinds of material subject matters, politics, etc. How to become a good demoniac ruler. But since a child, Prahlad, was actually a great devotee and disciple, we can say, student of Narada Muni, he was already firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. So during what Prabhupada calls the tiffin hours, this is a rather unusual term in the West, but those of you who are of Indian origin will know what tiffin hour is, a lunch hour, when the children bring their tiffin carriers or tiffin boxes to school. So during the tiffin hours, Prabhupada explained, he was preaching to his school friends about Krishna consciousness. And the message especially was, my dear friends, human life is very short, and it's a very special opportunity for spiritual understanding. As we know, the Bhagavatam begins Atato Brahma Jignasa, or the Vedanta Sutra. Bhagavatam is considered natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So it begins, now we have got this human form of life, we should inquire about the absolute truth. So Prahlad was stressing like that. Therefore, he said, we should begin as early as possible, right from the very beginning. Which is why in Krishna consciousness, grihastas undergo the garbhadana samskara, so that at the time of conception, the consciousness is calm and peaceful and Krishna conscious, and devotee will be attracted to take birth. So as early as possible, therefore, from the very beginning, a person should be given all opportunity to become Krishna conscious. And after taking birth, there are other sanskaras, and to help, to give blessing to the child so that he will progress in spiritual life. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam, I think it's in the 5th canto, that one should not become a guru, a father, a husband, or a worshipable demigod if he cannot deliver his dependents from the cycle of birth and death. So that is the duty of the teacher, the parents, the demigods also, to give Krishna consciousness to others. So although Prahlad's father was a demon, his spiritual father was Narada Muni, and he was a very powerful devotee. So he was preaching to his friends that better start as early as possible while you're still young, you have strength, you have fresh energy, and become Krishna conscious. Chant the holy names of the Lord, engage in the devotional service of the Lord. So he is a powerful preacher, a pure devotee of the Lord. And therefore his school friends were very influenced. And they joined him in kirtan, chanting the holy names, which agitated his teachers. They were unsure how to control this behavior. So then Hiranyakashipu, one day he took his son on his lap and he was patting him on the head, smelling his head. My dear son, what have you learned? When the parents first send their children to school, then they'll be very inquisitive. When the children, what have you learned today, dear son, dear daughter? And it's very charming to hear from them the first lessons that they've learned. So Prahlad, he said that I've learned that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and devotional service to him is the perfection of life. And therefore one should always chant the holy names of the Lord. Hiranyakashipu was astonished and greatly angered. What is this nonsense? Why these teachers are teaching you rubbish like this? So he called for the teachers. Why are you teaching him like this? They said, no, we're not teaching him like this. We don't know where he got this from. So he warned them, you teach my boy properly so that he learns all the arts of a good materialist. And sent Prahlad back to school. Again, the same thing happened. The teachers were trying to teach him, but Prahlad was preaching to his school friends, and this continued on a number of occasions, and Hiranyakashipu became more and more angry. He couldn't tolerate that his own son had become such a great devotee of the Lord, who was his mortal enemy. So eventually he decided, that's enough. I have to get rid of this good-for-nothing son, this young rascal. And he tried to smash Prahlad on the floor, just a tender young boy, very soft body. Normally you take any young child like that, smash him on the floor, he would die. But Prahlad didn't die, he was protected by the Lord. So Hiranyakashipu devised more and more different means to try to kill him. He threw him from a high cliff. There was raging sea beneath and sharp rocks. Tried to throw him down so that he would be destroyed. But the Lord protected Prahlad. Prahlad was always chanting the holy names. Then again, he tried to throw him in a pit of venomous snakes. Didn't work. Tried to throw him into a cauldron of boiling oil. Again, the Lord formed a protective covering about his body, as the Lord also did actually with Parikshit Maharaj. When Parikshit Maharaj was in the womb of his mother Uttara, then Asvatthama threw a Brahmastra weapon to kill the child, but the Lord formed a protective covering, and so the Brahmastra was ineffective, and the child was protected and came out and became the great king, Parikshit Maharaj. So, in the same way, Prahlad was protected. Hiranyakashipu also threw him under the feet of maddened elephants. Didn't work. So he became very, very, very angry that, where do you get your power from? He asked Prahlad. And Prahlad calmly replied, from the same place as you, Father. Where is that from? Hiranyakashipu asked him. From Lord Vishnu. What is this nonsense, Lord Vishnu? Where is this Lord Vishnu? Prahlad said, he's everywhere, Father. Everywhere? Is he in this pillar? Yes, Father, he's in the pillar also. Nonsense, Hiranyakashipu said, took his huge sword and smashed the pillar. And suddenly the Lord appeared in a very wonderful form, very special form. Narashingha. Nara means man. Hare Krishna. Simha means lion. So half man, half lion. That is a lion head, and the lower portion is a man's portion. So here I'm just reading a verse. There was a huge sound as the Lord appeared. So while Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either a man or a lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature that is half man and half lion? Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Narshingha Dev standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold. His shining mane which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face. His deadly teeth and his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, his waist thin, and the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions as he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conch shell disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made this plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Thinking like this and taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord like an elephant. Just as a small insect falls forcefully into a fire, and the insignificant creature becomes invisible, when Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astounding, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he entered the dark universe and illuminated by his spiritual effulgence. Therefore, the great demon Hiranyakashipu, who was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Narshingha with his club and began to beat him. Lord Narshingha, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a great snake. So in this way, they did battle with one another, and then, making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Lord Narayan, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky and sometimes in the earth. His eyes closed because of fear of Nrsingadev's laughter. As a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Nrsimhadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here, there, and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Lord Nrsingadev's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsimhadev, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that has just killed an elephant. So, in this way, the Lord he killed Hiranyakashipu, but he kept the benedictions of Brahma intact, because he killed him just at dusk, at the juncture of day and night, so neither in the day or in the night. He didn't kill him inside or outside, but in the threshold of the doorway. He didn't kill him on the earth or the sea or the sky, but on his own lap, the lap of the Lord. And he was not with any man-made or God-made weapon, or he was not killed by man or demigod, but by the nails of the personality of Godhead himself. And in this way, Lord Nrsingadev, who is anger of the Lord personified, appeared and enjoyed this fight with this demon and killing him. But of course, especially, he wanted to protect his devotee Prahlad. After this, the Lord was still roaring in anger The demigods were very concerned. They were frightened to come forward to pacify the Lord, so they pushed Prahlad forward. You please pacify your father. And Prahlad was unafraid. Please pacify the Lord. They asked Prahlad. And Prahlad was unafraid. And he offered very nice prayers to the Lord. And the Lord asked him, what benediction would you like? And he said, please forgive my father. So he was a very compassionate Vaishnava. He didn't require, for myself, I don't need any special benediction, just to be engaged in your service. That I'm already your devotee. But please forgive my father. So in this way, he's example of a Paramahansa Vaishnava from his very birth. And Srila Prabhupada, actually he said Srila Prabhupada gave more lectures on this portion of the Bhagavatam than any other portion, especially to stress that one should take to Krishna consciousness as soon as possible, if possible from the very beginning, very conception or the very birth of the child, or at least while one is young. And if one doesn't have that opportunity, whenever one comes in contact with Krishna consciousness, one should take it up and in this way make proper use of the human form of life to advance in Krishna consciousness, help others advance also, and go back to Godhead. So, Hare Krishna, Sri Narshingha Chaturdasi ki, Sri Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanande. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pasyakyani Shatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Sivasati Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Narasimha Dev, Jaya Narasimha Dev, Narasimha Dev, Jaya Narasimha Dev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.